A waif is a living creature removed, by hardship, loss or other helpless circumstance, from its original surroundings. The most common usage of the word is to designate a homeless, forsaken or orphan child, or someone whose appearance is evocative of the same. As such, the term is similar to a ragamuffin or street urchin, although the main distinction is volitional. A runaway youth might live on the streets, but would not properly be called a waif, as the departure from one's home was an exercise of free will. Likewise, a person fleeing their home for purposes of safety is typically considered not a waif but a refugee. Literature. Orphan children, left to fend for themselves, are common as literary protagonists, especially in children's and fantasy literature. The characters Heathcliff in Emily Bronte's 1847 novel Wuthering Heights and Joe, the crossing sweeper in Charles Dickens' 1852 novel Bleak House are waifs. Dickens, it may be noted, has been called the master of waif literature. Bret Harte's 1890 novel A Waif of the Plains, set against the backdrop of the Oregon Trail in the 1850s, is another example. The children in a series of unfortunate events are usually waifs, in between their unsuccessful stints in the care of various relatives. In modern adult fantasy writing, it could be argued that Kvothe of Patrick Rothfuss's The Kingkiller Chronicle was a waif, and the stories include many flashback elements as they are of Kvothe's life told by Kvothe to the time when he indeed was a waif. Literary waifs are frequently depicted with a frail appearance, although such physical aspects are not inherent in the term. Such evocations may reflect the endemic malnutrition of the street urchin. Chicago's Mercy Home for Boys and Girls, a long-term residential home for troubled young men and women from the streets and abusive homes, has published The Waif's Messenger for more than 100 years. There was a cartoon waif, which was also known as a cartoon orphan boy, which he appeared in the 1936 Rainbow Parade cartoon A Waif's Welcome. Nautical. In nautical terms, a waif is any survivor of a shipwreck compelled to make land upon a foreign shore. In this sense, waif is roughly synonymous with castaway, although the latter term is generally associated with isolation. A waif usually indicates a survivor of a marine disaster who has fallen into the care or custody of others. Some 7 years ago, there appeared the remarkable saga of Manjaro, the shipwrecked Japanese waif who was rescued and brought to the United States by a Yankee whaling captain. Legal. Dating from the Middle Ages, when a woman was prescribed and subjected to penalties of outlawry, she was said to be a waived and called a waif. This waiving of the law was tantamount to outlawry since it removed all protection of the law. Women in this status were outside of the law, and others could kill them on sight as if they were wild animals. Under British common law, items stolen by a thief and discarded during the thief's flight are waifs. The monarch owned such waifs by royal prerogative. Music. References to waifs in music are sometimes self-deprecating, as in the name of the Australian folk rock band The Waifs, or Tracy Bonham's song I'm Not a Waif. Many other songs use the word waif to romanticize street children and runaways, as in the Mark Arman song Waifs and Strays, or the Steely Dan song Janny Runaway, which describes the title character as being the wonder waif of Gramercy Park. Botany. In botany, a waif is an unusual species found in the wild that is alien and either A, is unsuccessful at reproduction without human intervention, or B, only persists a few generations and disappears. Such a plant never gets naturalized in the wild. Wayflora also refers to plant species which occur on oceanic islands due to chance long-distance dispersion of seeds. Fashion. In fashion and related popular culture, the term waif is commonly used to describe a very thin person, usually a woman. The waif look was used in the 1960s to describe thin, large-eyed models such as Twiggy, Edie Sedgwick and Dorothy Biss. The gamine look of the 1950s, associated with actresses like Audrey Hepburn, Leslie Caron and Jean Sperg, was, to some extent, a precursor. The term waif was seemingly ubiquitous in the 1990s, with heroin chic fashion and models like Kate Moss and Jaime King on the runways and in advertisements. Actresses like Ally McBeal star Callista Flockhart, Winona Ryder, recently the British actress Keira Knightley and singer Celine Dion have all been pinned with the term. Although the heroin chic look has gone out of fashion, it still holds some popularity in Hollywood. For example, Wonder Bra model Eva Herzigova was criticized over her waif-like figure. Daily Mirror columnist Sue Carroll wrote, "The supermodel, looking like a throwback to the heroin chic era of waif-like undernourished models, was an X-ray of her old self, skeletally thin with greasy hair, blue lips, a cold sore and sunken eyes." References